Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, the only series that has decided that no matter how good the waifu looks, I will not simp. There's no second part to that intro. I just want to let you know that I don't give a fuck how pretty they are. My wallet stays here. So, just a little heads up before we get to the video. I wanted to address the reason why I was gone for another week, even though I literally just came back. I went to Queen City Anime Con, and it was awesome. Me and my friends were up there for a little bit, and it was dope. There was just a whole bunch of cool shit, a lot of cool people. I pretty much showed up like this, but a lot more formal, if you will. And let's just say everybody out there who dressed up like a Inosuke, good choice. And good for you for getting in shape before you do that. Holy shit, there were a ton of buff Inosukes. But let's go ahead and get back on into this, because this is something that I've kind of already built up the lore to, so let's go ahead and get to the season finale. No, we're not doing Black Bible, because that's not what the video is titled. Today we are going to be reviewing episode 1 of, and I'm pretty sure the only episode, to Anette-san to Liliana-san. It says episode 1, but I do not count it as anything else because I'm pretty sure there's no second episode. You see, this episode feels weird. First off, it's done by our friends over at Pink Pineapple, running at 28 minutes and 23 seconds long, holding 11 categories, notable of which are the fact that there is dark skin and every job under the sun. Like, these people, like, these two girls did not choose a hand job, a foot job, a blow job. They didn't choose any of that. They chose hand careers, they chose foot careers, they chose boob careers. It's all of it. And just wow. But let's go ahead and get into the plot of this whole thing, if I can say there is one. Because this feels like there was supposed to be a second episode. Like a secondary tacked on episode, kind of the one that happened for Itadaki Siki. Itadaki Sekai, I think that's the name. Vampire girl that everybody thinks is hot. It feels like there was supposed to be a second, 9-minute video that was like a sequel to the Anette-san one and the Liliana-san one, but it never happened, so they just made, I don't want to say, not a light novel, like a digital novel, you know, those sorts of things. Doki Doki Literature Club, whatever the fuck genre that is other than horror. But they kind of did that, where there's almost the exact same scenario that plays out with the exact same timestamps for each one. Let me not go ahead and get ahead of myself. The beginning of this episode starts out with the main character immediately walking into the kitchen to find Anette-san. You know, the girl that we just got done talking about in pretty much our last video. Walks into the kitchen and finds her, and then immediately just says, "Oh my god, you're so hot. Can we do it right now?" And she's like, "Alright." And then it just goes off, like right there. It starts at scene 1, starts at 1 minute and 30 seconds in. The intro is 30 seconds. He waited a minute and then got to it. He did a minute of this and then said, "Wanna have sex?" And then it goes from a minute and 30 to 10 minutes and 55 seconds. An entire ass scene dedicated to just her, and fuck if she doesn't deserve it. Oh, she deserves it. Okay. After immediately going through this whole thing, Jesus fuck. Okay. Immediately after that, it then cuts as it starts to fade away just a little bit, and then it comes back to that same main character in the same scenario with Liliana-san. And I shit you not, it is just the same thing, but it's like you just switched out the characters and gave it like she just got home from work instead of kitchen, and it's still only like a minute or something, and then they just go straight back into it. Seriously, scene 2 starts at 12 minutes and 10 seconds in and goes to 20 minutes and 40 seconds in. That's 8.5 minutes, but it starts at 12:10. The other one stopped at 10:30, had a fizzle out, and then went back to it. There's still just a minute of like them talking to this girl that is in my personal top 10 of like all hentai waifus. And you bet your fucking ass I have a list. But they spend a minute on her and then immediately go into it, and then it's just 8.5 minutes of them like going at it. And it's in the exact same format too. Like at first it goes into like above the neck and then use everything in the middle of the body, and then it goes into sex. Like, what the fuck? They just alright, we're done with Anette-san. Where'd the budget go? Fuck, and they just took a flat iron and just went through Annette's hair there and was like, alright, it's the same thing. We have $45 left. Use as many assets as you had before on the next scene. But we still gotta do the third act. We're gonna rob a bank. That's what's going on. We're gonna rob a bank. We're gonna get the funds that way. And then they immediately go. Oh, into it. After they get done with Liliana-san, they immediately start to fizzle out once again, and then the credits roll. Like, they're like, wow, we did a good job. And then their boss walked in and said, hey man, we're only at 20 minutes. We're supposed to be doing a half-hour thing. And they're like, the commercials work that. And they're like, that's not the type of thing we do. It has to be 28 minutes to 30 minutes long. And he's like, oh, fuck. Okay, and then they get their special drawing gloves out, the ones that like cover this, and then they just go back into it, and then, and only then, this feels like if you did both sides, this feels like if you played through Persona 5, and then you got all the waifus, and then they got the special ending where they beat you up at the end of it because you're a two-timing dick. This is just that, but they're like, what if we did the same thing? But they're into it. We don't have 5 waifus, though. No, but we have 2, and that's all that matters. Are they nearly identical to each other, except for the story that comes in the first episode, so that you get a feeling of their character? We don't give a fuck about their character. They are both big-boobed, dark-skinned, amazing waifus that are very kind. And they all have white hair. Put them together. And that's where scene 3 kicks in. After the credits, as if it's just there. Scene 3 kicks in at 21 minutes and 45 seconds, and then goes all the way to 28 minutes and 15 seconds. Which, how is it shorter? You're having a 3-way with 2 girls that are both amazing, and they're both just, they're so fucking identical. Liliana sounds better. I will fight you on that. But, what the fuck? They just took the budget, and then they put it here, but then they cut it off at the very end? I'm like, dude, it went from 9 minutes to 8 minutes to 7 minutes. Why not just all 8 minutes? Alright, fine, fuck me, alright. That's where it ends, too. Like, no credits after that. They already did the credits. They're moving on to the next thing. So I guess we can get into the score. Let's cut over to the score right now. Alright, okay. The animation. Animation? Superb. It's very well done. I feel like the people they underpaid in this were the storyboard execs. Not in fact, the animators. This is very well done, but it still doesn't break that anime level. It breaks that, like... It breaks the hentai mold to where it's, like, better echelon, but it doesn't quite hit that anime one that's right up here. So I'd give the animation a solid 8 out of 10 for the fact that it's slick, and it has, like, ways of making the bodies look good. You know how they do tanned women in hentai, where it's a lot of... They look oiled up at all times. Like, literally at all times. And it makes me feel bad for them, because... Have they taken a shower at all? They have long white hair, so, like... I'm pretty sure they're not depicting African-American women, so... Are these just really tanned girls? This is an honest dilemma. I've never once watched a hentai and saw a character that had dark skin that was in fact black. Just once. Just once. Can you, like... Alright. We have a little bit of a budget now. What are we gonna use it on? Get the guy who did black people in Cowboy Bebop. Let's grab him, put him here, just give us some pointers. Maybe we'll figure out how to do a legit black person. It doesn't even need to be like a character that's around for a long time. Just bring them in. It's always just normal characters that have dark skin. Just make them black characters. Their hair is so cool. Oh, I'm white. I have fucking red hair that's just straight. Why can't they? I'm tired of seeing this. Bring in people with cool hair, damn it. That was a weird rant. This was a weird tangent in the middle of the review, but I'm gonna keep going. Because I feel cheated. I know this is coming from Japan that has a very, like, no foreigners thing going on, and a lot of people in the hentai business probably aren't up there with the diversity crowd. But, dude, get, like, one person on an animation crew from America. Bring them over there. Just give some pointers. Doesn't matter what. Get some more diversity in this. I guarantee the numbers are gonna go up. It's not just going to be exclusively Asian people across the board. I know you live in Asia, so you get Asian representation out the ass. And that's the reason why people aren't just all white in movies anymore. I want more of it because it's a lot more talent that's different. Fuck, this is a weird tangent. Why can't I stop? Characters and story. Honestly, it feels gutted from what it was, but you can definitely tell that there's a character switch in between. Like, they're both treated differently, and they're both treated, I think, with the same level of respect as their original ones, except for Liliana-san, who doesn't really get the recognition that she kind of gets in her first episode. Her original thing, I think, is so sweet, and it's in my top 10. But she kind of gets, like, the treatment of, like, yeah, we watched it. This is how she's introduced. Like, first off, why couldn't you just gotten, like, the original dude? You just picked the girl up and then put her into a scenario that she hasn't been in before. Alright, nonetheless, the characters are definitely distinct, and you know, like, alright, they're at least the characters. But there's so little going on besides the plot that there's really just not a ton that goes on. I'm giving it a 6 out of 10, just for the fact that you didn't just, like, copy and paste these characters and put them over here. You, like, actually show their, like, the way they look. Like, Anette-san is at least, like, relative to what she was actually based on in her original episode, where she gets brought over. Like, she's still in the same clothing, has the same style of, like, how they're interacted with. But Liliana-san just feels like they took, like, two things of dialogue that she said and was like, that's her character. And then she gets put over here. I felt like there could have been more with both. Maybe less of, like, it's been a minute and a half, let's get to the boning. But I could be wrong. I'm giving it a personal 6 out of 10, just because I feel like there could have been more. But at least it was above serviceable. So, that brings us to what we're all really here for, the plot. The plot, there's a lot of it, but it is copy and motherfucking pasted. Which I can't say there's anything bad about it. There's two waifus that I think are insanely gorgeous. But some of us aren't here for the career that these women have done. Like, the hand, the foot, the boobs, the everything job. Some of us aren't here for that. Because it feels like you're just like it feels like you're hitting 20, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then the bullseye is right there. The bullseye is this big. The bullseye is big as their boobs. And you just keep missing it because, like, foreplay, bullseye, bullseye, bullseye at the very end. I'm like, could you have done more with the bullseye? That thing is so big, you could have made a smiley face out of the bullseye. And plus, I'm gonna say it, I think the three-way was, like, it was a little underwhelming. It was underwhelming. Man, my final review is going to be a lot higher than it sounds like this is going to be. Yeah, if the three-way feels a little underwhelming to me. I don't know why. I'm going to give this another 6 out of 10. I feel like that fits. 6 out of 10 for both. Does that? Yeah, so the overall score, I guess. The overall score for this whole thing is going to be a 7 out of 10. The animation and the girls carry this shit further than what it is. If these two girls weren't attached, this shit would be like a 3 out of 10 at best. But you brought these girls that I am so connected with. Just... But you're pulling a heartstring just to get a little bit more of a score. Yeah, 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 for the whole thing. This is a weird video to come back to. But say Lavi. Yeah, I think that's gonna be the end of the video for me. At least that's the end of the review. Thank y'all for coming. Thanks for being patient. I know I was up in Queen City Anime Con for a little bit. But when I got back, I immediately started my new job, so there was a little bit of, like, time that fucked it up, and I have no idea what my schedule is gonna be like, so, there may be more regularly now that I'm, like, back, and I'm not going anywhere. We might be able to get this shit rolling. So yeah, yeah, that feels good. Feels nice to be back. And I just want to thank you guys for being here. And remember, have a nice day. Don't be a dick. There's too many of them. And wash your fucking hands. There's a reason I wore this to a convention. So, yeah. Peace.